Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Daycare Q&A Show. My name is Adrienne Bradley. See, I never know if I'm live or not. The screen will blank. Okay, let me start over. Good morning and welcome to the Daycare Q&A Show. I'm your host, Adrienne Bradley of Thriving Childcare, and thank you for joining me here today. Today is April 23rd, 2025. It's pretty gloomy here where I am in Southern California, but it's not raining. So, but I hope the sun comes out. It just kind of just makes your day different, at least for me, when it's like gloomy and so forth. But anyway, I'm so glad to be back here with you today. And first of all, if you're joining me for the first time this morning, like I said, good, welcome. And if you are coming back, welcome back. And do me a favor. If you are joining me live, please send me some hearts and likes. Sometimes it's hard for me to see who's joining me just because of the dashboard here. So I usually have my laptop, which I got a new laptop. I got a new laptop this week, so I'm super excited about it because my old laptop was busted. I dropped it twice, so the hinges were even falling off. But not only that, it wasn't even functioning right. I mean, I was trying to work with it like forever, but it would I would type something and then it would highlight it and erase it. And I was like, I hate this. I can't get anything done. So anyway, I have a new laptop, and that's what you see me fiddling with over here. So I can see that I'm up and everything's functioning, but I can also see who's joining me. So send me some hearts and likes if you are joining me live. If you jump in at any point, please let me know in the comments to say hi. And if you are catching this on replay on our YouTube channel, then please put hi in the comments so I can come in and say hi to you as well. And if you are watching this on replay, please consider hitting that subscribe button. That would make me super happy, and that would make sure that you don't miss any of our episodes. I'm still in the process of uploading our archives, but I am putting our newer episodes up right away on our channel, so they're available there immediately. Okay, so let's see. Well, first, before I tell you what's going on in the Thriving Childcare universe, I want to say that I am having a great spring. Sorry, that's my dog. You can see her. That's Lola. She's getting a little old, so sometimes she coughs, so don't be concerned. It's kind of usual. But yes, so I'm having a great spring. First of all, I just welcomed a brand new grandchild, and it was a girl, and I'm so excited about her joining our family, and we were anticipating this, and it's just it's something special when you have a new baby, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's my happy news over the last few weeks that I've been gone, and while I was gone, I had so many things happen for the business that I'll be telling you about in this episode, but I do have a surprise coming up a little later this week, so please stay tuned for that, because that's going to be big. That's going to be really big. All right, so anyway, hey, do you have any grandchildren? I don't know if I've shared this, but with the birth of this new baby, I have five now, and my other grandchildren are either one's an adult. She's grown, and the other three, one, two, three, yeah, three are teens or preteens. So, but this is a new baby, and so she will be like the next well, not generation, but she's going to be far and away from those grandchildren as far as age and everything. But we get to baby her and dodo her. There's a lot of people to take care of her, so that'll be great. But yeah, if you have grandchildren, please let me know in the comments how many grandchildren you have, or if you don't have grandchildren, how many children you have. I have three. Yeah, I would love to know about your family. All right, let me get to business, okay? So, what's going on in Thriving Childcare Universe? So, first of all, this episode is sponsored by the Rise and Thrive Club, which is our exclusive membership just for childcare providers. But I will be telling you more about that a little bit later in the show. But the episode is sponsored by the Rise and Thrive Club, and you can go over and check it out at thrivingchildcare.com/join RTC. That's thrivingchildcare.com/join RTC. Okay. I'm a water here, so just in case. Okay. All right. Next week on May 1st, I will be doing a workshop called Tell Your Story, which, well, it's called Tell Your Story Crafting Your Childcare Brand Story. So basically, what it is, and actually, our newest blog post is about this very thing. So you can click the link in the comments and go over and check out that post from this week to find out more about the topic. But basically, what I'll be doing is showing you how to use your unique childcare journey, your story, like why you started your childcare, how long you've been in childcare, who you've had the pleasure of serving in your childcare, with your childcare business. Everything that has to do with your business and using that story or telling that story, that unique story that no one else has. We all might have the same type of businesses, but we don't have the same journey and same story. And using that to market, to bring in your ideal client. I mean, I'm going to get into it next week during the training, but there's a few shows that I'm pretty regularly regularly watch, and one of them is called Sunday Morning. And if you watch the show or if you know of the show, you know they do a lot of backstories. Well, you know, a lot of what do they call those? Interest pieces, uh, personal interest pieces. I think that's what you call it. But when you think about some of the stories, it's not some of the people that are on these shows. It's not just the people and what they do. It's usually the story that draws you in, that makes you want to know more about them, or makes them feel like make you feel like you know them, and or you want to know this person because of the story of their life, of their journey, um, those kinds of things. And we all have that same story. And I know when I would do my orientations, that's the word I used for my tours, my childcare tours, I would sit down with clients and I would tell them, I would give them a little piece of my journey. And just because people want to know, they're interested. How did you come to this? Is this, and through you telling your story, they can see your passion, your interest, your love for children, and for your business, and why you do this. And you would be surprised how many people that will be drawn to that. And that could be your next client. And someone who is drawn to your story would probably be your ideal client. So that's what I'm going to be training on next week, May 1st. You can click the link below and it'll take you over and you can sign up for the workshop. It will be done during the day, but I might consider doing a repeat of it in the afternoon or in the evening on another day, because I'm trying to kind of gauge what's a better time. Sometimes it's better for people during nap time, and sometimes it's better totally after work. But click the link in the description below, and it'll take you over, and you can enroll in the workshop for next week. So it's on May 1st. I think it's 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But click the link and it'll let you know what the times are for the workshop next week. But that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a lot of fun. Now, that's my dog. I always point to the wrong side. That's my dog, Rooney. And I won't get I won't go back into personal stuff so much, but he went missing, and we got him back. Or actually, I found him, and I'm so excited. That was another reason why I'm having a good spring, because I was distraught over it. If you get my Sunday Sunshine newsletter, I talked about this whole journey, and story about how he went missing, and he was gone for 24 hours, but that was the longest 24 hours, I tell you. But anyway, I digress. All right, what else is going on? Okay, so like I was talking about in the beginning, this week is really big around here because on Friday I'm going to be announcing something really big happening in the Rise and Thrive Club. So I'll tell you even more about this at the end of the show today, but it's really big, so stay tuned. I'm saying this 2 and 3 times during the show to make sure you understand just how big this is. Yeah, so we do have some questions today. I'm going to stay on time today because I have an appointment I have right after the show, so I probably won't be going over today. But yeah, so let's get into some of the questions. By the way, if you have any questions that you would like for me to address here on the show, you can leave them at, you don't have to wait for next week. If you can't make the show, you can just go to thrivingchildcare.com/what's your question. That's thrivingchildcare.com/what's your question, and leave your question there, and I'll be sure to get it on the show next week. By the way, this is the perfect time for me to drop in my disclaimer here. I probably don't need to do this, but I do it anyway. Every week, I just want you to know that the questions or the answers and responses and advice that I give here is based on my 20 plus years in the childcare industry, owning my own business for 20 plus years, and or perhaps drawn from an experience of one of my colleagues, someone in my close network. But your business is your business. So if it works for you, if it's something that vibes with you or your business philosophy, then take it and run with it. But if it doesn't, just leave it here. It's probably for someone else, okay? Take what works and leave the rest, okay? The other thing that I keep forgetting to say is, I love a good rant. I have girlfriends, and there are days when we call each other, and what we do is get it out. We get out that rant. But for me, I'm an Aquarian, Enneagram 8. For me, a solution trumps a rant. If I'm going through something, I really would appreciate somebody jumping in with something that I hadn't thought of, something that would perhaps turn things around, and I have girlfriends for that too. So we can rant and get it all out, but in the end, I kind of want a resolution, and that's what this show is really about. That's what I endeavor for this show to be about, is helping you to think about situations that you've either been in, or you may be in, or maybe you'll never be in. Maybe you have a friend that might go through something similar. To give you a different perspective, to see it from a different angle, because I know sometimes when I was going through something, I didn't always, looking back, I didn't always handle it the way I wished I had. And so this show is to give you that foresight, so that should you ever be in these situations or ever be in them again, maybe think about them in a different way, that might color the way you respond to it, and maybe say what you really want to say, or direct it toward the outcome that you really want. So that's what the Daycare Q&A show is about. But again, If it's something that does not vibe with you, it's something that does not work as far as your business philosophy or the way you run your business, that is absolutely fine. We all, even though I said at the beginning of the show, we all have similar businesses, but they are unique. And yours is unique, and you know what's best for your business. Okay? So, with that being said, let me jump into some of the questions today. So I'm going to be looking down because I'm looking at my notes. We have 5 questions. Okay. All right. So the first question says, Adrian, I just had a parent ask for a discount again. How do I respond without feeling guilty or losing the client? Okay. Well, I don't know if we've addressed this specific question on the show before, but I do know that it happens. It happens a lot. I will say this. Sometimes it's best for me to take a step back and see if there's something that I'm doing that is contributing to whatever the issue is. So in this situation, if this was me, I would wonder, why does this client feel like that they need for you to offer them a discount? And I ask that because, have you done it before? To the point where they're used to you doing that? If so, why did you do that? And I'm not judging, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm asking a question. Why did you do that? Maybe there was a very good reason why you did that. However, I was reading something recently that it pertained to something completely different, but it said when you give an exception, first of all, make sure the exception is an exception and not the rule. You're not doing it all the time, because people will expect you to do it all the time. If you do it all the time. But if you do make an exception to a rule, make sure that you let them know that this is a one-time exception, and write it down. Make them sign it. Make them understand that it is a one-time exception. And I know that sounds extreme to some people, but the thing about it is, human nature, we get comfortable with people. We get comfortable with taking advantage of people and not really recognizing that that's what we're doing. And so it could be that this client has come to expect you to make an exception for them all the time, not just that one time, all the time. So if that's the case, take a beat, step back, and recognize that if that's what's happened, and let them know that you are running a business, and businesses can't run on exceptions. They just can't. So that one exception that you perhaps gave them in the past was a one-time thing, and it was a courtesy, but it's not something that will be going on consistently in the future. All right? So that's one. Secondly, if you haven't given them a discount, let's say that this is not something that's happened before, but actually you said again, so it has happened before. But for those of you having people ask you for a discount, why? Maybe there's something going on. Maybe I'll use an example. Maybe they have switched jobs, and they're in that in-between time of pay periods, and so their pay periods have been thrown off, and they're not going to get paid until the following week or something like that. All right. Maybe there's a valid reason, all right, to give an exception. Not a discount, but an exception, okay? But when it comes to a discount, I know that I put in some of my enrollment material that tuition rates were non-negotiable. And if you want, put something in the comments, say, I don't know, say non-negotiable. Put non-negotiable in the comments, and I'll come back and I'll type in, I'll give you the verbiage that I used in that enrollment material, because I wanted to set the tone from the beginning. There were were clients that I met with, potential clients that I met with at the orientation, and they had the the mindset that they could come in and negotiate a rate. And I don't know about early on. I can't remember early on if that happened and if I was influenced by it. But certainly later on, I was absolutely not influenced by their mindset that that's what was going to happen here. My rates were quite set, and there was only I only had the different enrollment options, like different enrollment status, so part-time, full-time, something like that. That's where the options came into play. But as far as negotiating the rate for that particular option, that was not on the table. And I let them know in my enrollment paperwork that that was a fact. Now, if they had an issue, like something I said earlier, like they were switching jobs or they had some kind of financial issue, they were to know that they can come to me and we can discuss it. But that still didn't mean that they were automatically going to be given a discount or an exception. We needed to look at that case by case. And so that's what I would say to you. Make it very clear in your handbook, in your contract, in your enrollment material somewhere that the rates, your rates, are set, okay? And they're not negotiable. And I don't think you should apologize for that. Um, do do we go to the store and try to negotiate with Ralph's when we're buying some groceries? We go up to the cashier and say, you know, I'm willing to pay. Let's pick eggs, okay? I just was at Smart Final with my husband over the weekend, and I thought I saw. Now it could have been the big pack of eggs, but I thought I saw $9. I really truly did. Okay, if I had taken those eggs up to the cashier and said, you know what, this says $9, but I really don't want to pay you $9 for this. I'll give you 7. They would have said, well, Mrs. Bradley, you can just go put those eggs right back, or I will take them from you because the price is set. And so my point in bringing that up is we're used to prices being non-negotiable. There are situations where, of course, maybe you can negotiate something. I have some things that I've sold recently on Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp, and I pad that into the price. I know that somebody's going to probably want to haggle with me, but that's not typical. That's not the typical way that we buy things, purchase things, right? It is set for a price. Maybe it'll go on sale and you have to wait for the sale, or maybe you have a coupon. But other than that, the price is set. You don't haggle at the cash register. So if that's the case, why should you feel guilty about explaining and exclaiming that your prices are set? This is what the rate is, okay? Because they always have the option of going someplace else, okay? That's a fact, right? But to be constantly asking for discounts is not going to be sustainable for your business. So I would say look at that. And again, if you want me to give you the verbiage that I had, I'll go back and dig it up. Put sustainable, put non-negotiable in the comments, and I'll go back and pull that up and drop it here. But yeah, that's not going to work. But don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty, because honestly, if they're expecting a discount every single time you ask what to do so you don't lose a client, honestly, if they don't get that, they're probably going to leave at some point if they just can't afford it. And this is why it's so important to be marketing and enrolling your ideal client. And part of your ideal client is a client that can actually afford the rate that you've set. So let's leave the guilt. Let's leave the guilt. There's no guilt at the grocery store. There's no guilt, and we don't haggle at the grocery store. Why should they expect to haggle with you? So that's my position. Let me know Let me know in the comments if you have a different opinion on that. I'm not the only provider in the room. If you have a different opinion on that, or if you've gone through something similar, how did you handle it? Please let us know in the comments. All right, let me get to two. I want to stay on time today because I have to go. I have to go on time today. All right, second question is, Adrian, how do I handle it when a child is consistently acting out and the parent doesn't seem to care? Okay, that's really not enough information for me to know what's really going on there. Um, I'm gonna take, for example, the child might be acting out at the daycare, not at pickup or drop off or something like that. Sometimes that can be what they call changing of the guard, and maybe their parent is a little bit more lax as far as their child than when they're in the daycare environment. But let's presume that the child is acting out in such a way that's going on during the program, during the day, when they're in daycare. It depends. If they're acting out against other children, or you, or physically acting out, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, there's not enough information. But having a conversation with the parent, how are you having the conversation with the parent? Are you pulling them aside? Are you maybe talking with them over the phone outside of the environment of the daycare? Because it could be, and I'll use myself as an example. When my children were little, I have a really a bad nervous reaction when I am upset, or I used to. Hopefully, I don't have it anymore, but I used to, and it would be that I would laugh. It was so embarrassing. I would laugh in the most awkward time, and it was just a nervous reaction, right? So it could be that the parent is showing you, is not that they don't care, but they're embarrassed. It could be a nervous reaction that they're trying to play down the situation, but only you know. And again, I don't have enough details here to know what specifically is going on, but only you know if it's detrimental, if this continues. So I would say, look at your approach. Maybe talk to the parent, or ask to talk to the parent on another day. Sit down with them, call them. Is there a time that you can call them on the phone and discuss what's going on? Because, and the other thing too is, a lot of times parents feel judged or guilty if it has to do with their child. You can, as the expert, as the experienced child care provider, explain to them that children go through different ups and downs as they're growing, and this is completely normal. But you want to be on the same page with them. You want to be a helpmate. You're not pointing the finger. You're not trying to find blame. You're not trying to, embarrass them. You are trying to help the situation so that it doesn't carry forward. I had a situation years ago with this one child, and I really did love him, but his behavior was really challenging. It really was. And when I would talk to the mom, the family dynamics played a part here, because the child didn't have their father in their life, and the mom told me that she tended to try to compensate for that. And so part of compensating for that was allowing the child to do whatever, whenever. And he was very young. And I tried to gently suggest that, we needed to manage his behavior. We needed to work together to let him know what was appropriate, hitting, yelling, that kind of stuff towards the other children or myself or even her was not going to be helpful for him or her in the future. And I got the impression that she, like you said here, didn't. It's not that she didn't care. She just wanted to make up for what he didn't have, and I get it. But later on, when he wound up graduating out and going to preschool, there was nothing but issues. And it was because there were no consequence or even boundaries around his behavior. And so he was constantly getting in trouble at school and not being allowed to go on field trips. This is what she's telling me, to the point where she called me back and said, could he re enroll? And I very politely said, no, I'm sorry. Um, for various reasons. I don't even know if I had a spot, but I was like, this is what I was talking about. He needs to, but we needed to work together, and we could have. So back then, maybe my approach could have been better. Maybe I could have pulled her aside, set her down, made her understand, what the future was going to look like, and continue to be challenging if we didn't address this consistently together. But that's what I would say. I would say try to talk to the parent at a different time, different place. If Try to make sure it's not under the guise of everything else that's going on, other parents coming in, or your assistant, or even in front of the other children, or even in front of her child. Try to talk to her independently, or I'm saying her. It could be both parents if it's a two-parent household, or it could be the father, or yeah, or the grandparent, whoever is the main caregiver. Try to talk to them privately and let them know that you're concerned about this, but you want to work with them, right? It's not about pointing fingers. It's not about finding guilt. It's about helping the child, right? So that would be my advice when it comes to that. All right, let me move to the next question before we run out of time. Okay. It says, what's a good way to keep my daycare full year round without always scrambling for enrollments? Okay, this is an easy one. This is an easy one. You're going to say, what? Wait a minute. I need to know that too. Market. But market all the time. I know you're saying, I market. That's dumb. Of course I market. Some of us don't. Some of us market when we have a spot that opens up. Some of us market in panic because someone just gave their withdrawal notice. But if you market all the time, have a waiting list going, have a website that has a contact form on there, you are marketing all the time. Whether you have a spot or not would be my advice, because you never know. I mean, if the time comes and they need someone who's reaching out to you and you don't have a spot, you could always bless somebody else in your network, another provider. You could refer them to your local CCR to find care. You could put them on your waiting list if they are in a situation or that they can wait. But that is a good position to be in. What isn't the greatest position to be in is when you have an open spot and you don't have any prospect, you don't have any leads for any new clients. And something that I've said here on the show before, I had a friend in particular, and I mentioned that I was looking for new clients. She was like, you want more clients? And I was like, they don't stay. Every child that you have at your daycare right now is going to leave at some point. Hopefully not tomorrow, but they are going to leave. What is your plan for replacing them? Presuming you plan on continuing your business, and most of us do. So with that in mind, we need to be marketing all the time. I used an example earlier about the grocery store. The grocery store markets every week. There's a flyer that comes to my door comes in the mail, whatever, every week about what's on sale at the grocery store. Every other business continuously gets the word out about their business, because they don't just need the sale today. They need the sale tomorrow, next week, next month. They need continuous sales to be sustainable. I was talking to my husband about a restaurant that we've been going to for over 20 years. and we know the owner obviously because we've been going there for so long. And I was talking to him about how restaurant the restaurant business is a really hard business to be in, and the fact that she's been able to sustain this business as a female business owner. She's been able to sustain this business for over 20 years, is a real testament. And I think they're doing a Mardi Gras anniversary celebration on the 5th of May for her business. Anyway, we were discussing this, and I was saying that it really does take the regulars because, yeah, of course, you need new people coming and going and visiting and whatnot, but it's the regulars that keep your business going. They're there every day. Maybe they're coming for lunch. They're there every week. They're your regulars. They kept that business going even during the pandemic. So it is your constant that keeps your business going. But you need to be a constant in your business, right? And that means marketing all the time, at least in my opinion, all the time. Like I said, if you don't have a spot, then that's a gift of abundance. You can turn them down. You can help them in another way, find care. You can put them on your waiting list. But if you do have a spot, now you have leads. You have prospective clients to fill that spot. So market all the time. That's the word of the day. Four words. That's 4 words of the day. Okay, next question. I want to take a vacation, but I feel bad closing the daycare. How do other providers manage time off? Excuse me, let me get some water. Okay, this is another somewhat easy one. Okay, so build in your vacation. All right, that's where I'm going with this. But let me back up. You want to take a vacation. Sounds like you haven't taken a vacation in a while. All right. A lot of times I will go into the groups, even into my own group on Facebook, and ask, are they off on this coming holiday, or if the holidays this weekend, were they off, blah, blah, blah. And get so many providers that say no, they're open. And of course, like I said earlier, excuse me, it is your business. You absolutely have every right to run your business the way you do. However, holidays and vacations are very necessary for you to reset and recharge your energy. Running this business, I had no idea of the hours involved, and most of us don't, of the long hours involved. And even the extended hours after that, cleaning, preparing, shopping, all of that. You need a break. And if you don't take a break, you might break. And I've seen that too. I talk about burnout all the time. There's several articles on the blog about burnout and self-care, but a lot of us still don't take it seriously. And the thing about it is, we're not superheroes. We're humans. And we can get tired too. And it was one of the reasons why I set a rule about, and my business set a rule about the holidays, the holidays, because I would get clients that would say, "Oh, you're closed on Monday for the holiday. Can I bring them?" This is for part-times, not the ones that were there full-time. Can I bring them, if that was one of their part-time days, can I bring them on the following Tuesday? And at first, I said, yeah, sure, I guess so. That makes sense, And then eventually, I decided that no, that didn't make sense, because all of the holidays, not all of them, but the majority of the holidays are on Monday. In the United States, the majority of the holidays are going to be on Monday. So I'm going to make that exception every single holiday? No, we needed to address that. So at the orientation, I would let them know the holidays that we were closed for. It's in my contract. It's in the handbook. By the way, we have 2 new books out on contracts and handbooks. click the link. You can go over and check those out now. But I would let them know that this is our closures. And before you get all panicky about losing a client being closed on a national holiday, for goodness sake, um, the schools are going to be closed. So when they move on to the next stage, and sometimes I would tell them that in the orientation that, this is kind of boot camp, because when they get to school, as a matter of fact, there's more days off, at least at the local school level where I live. So they're gonna figure it out. If I would say take those holidays, I did, and there was holidays that I didn't take at first, like Columbus Day and so forth. I changed up, and yes, I did. But I made them aware. I made them aware when they enrolled. I have said here before that I had a magnet that I created, and I would stick it into their Christmas cards for the holidays for the coming year. So I gave them notice before a holiday was coming up, just like I do here. Oh, I forgot to tell you what's happening today. Um, from the planner, I'll go back in a second. But I would let them know. In 2 weeks, we're going to be off for President's Day, or I don't know when the 4th of July is, but I would let them know in advance, so they knew. Now, that's what worked for my business. I still would suggest, if you were a client of mine, I still would suggest that you take your time off, because you do need that time to rest and recharge. But, and I'm just going to turn this off real quick because I don't want it to announce real loud. But build it in. Build it in your contract, build it in your handbook. Advise your clients well in advance so that you don't feel guilty. And a lot of providers will say, well, that's doing too much. I've already told them. Okay, we'll figure out what it's going to take for you not to feel guilty. Okay? And for me, it took for me to go to the extent of feeling like they've been well notified. Okay? So when they showed up on the holiday, which sometimes that would happen, I did not feel guilty saying, I'm sorry, we're closed for the day. And last point I'll make on this, and I have said this on the show before, is that I'm a licensed provider, or I was a licensed provider here in California. And I had certain days that I told licensing that I was going to be closed. For me to be open on those days, just because a parent forgot that I was closed, for me to take that child, I was out of compliance. I could be fined for that. So there's another little nugget for you to chew on, but take those days. Do not feel guilty. Build them in. Let them know that you take a vacation. Maybe I had a colleague that took 2 vacations a year. What's wrong with that? Their families take multiple vacations throughout the year. I would just say, let them know in advance. That way, hopefully you will not feel guilty taking those. And if you know when your vacation is, some of us do go to the extent of helping them helping them, the clients, find alternate care during that time. I know that I had a close colleague of mine, that I would step in, and she would call me and say, "Are you available? Do you have space to take this child? I'm going to be on vacation. I'm going to be celebrating this or whatever." And we had an agreement, and I would take the child for that short period of time. We had an understanding. I would not try and steal her client, and so forth and so on. And I've talked about that. So do what is necessary for you to feel comfortable, but do take that vacation. Okay. All right. I have one more question. Then I want to tell you about the special thing happening. And actually, this is a good time to jump in. Today's the 23rd of April, like I said. So let me tell you what's happening on the 20th. Today is National Picnic Day. So why not have lunch if you have time outside? And if you don't have time to set up lunch outside, if the weather's nice, okay, like I said, it's kind of dreary here. I could still do it, but I know in certain parts of the country it's not tenable. But you could have an indoor picnic. Why not do something like that? And if you don't have time to do it for lunch, maybe it's already past lunchtime, maybe think about doing it for snack time. Set up a blanket inside if you can't go outside, or if you can, put it on the lawn out there and have snack out there. Or have snack. The kids will love it because it's something different. It's not something that you do all the time. Okay, so last question. All right. It says, Adrian, can I really raise my rates mid year? If so, how do I let families know without creating drama? This is another easy, easy, easy one. Okay? Well, not easy with the way it feels, because I think we all feel uncomfortable when that time comes and we feel like we're going to lose clients, even though in my experience that did not happen. That just did not happen. They valued the care and the program that I had more than the insignificant amount of increase of the rates. But the reason why I say it's so easy is because, I don't know, most people may not know this, but Tom Copeland wrote years ago that there was a time of the year that wasn't the best time to raise your rates. And I will come back and link to that article later in the comments. But what he was referring to was around the holidays. And so a lot of us think New Year, perfect time to raise my rates. It's actually not the best time, because most people have their budget blown by the holidays. And if you think about it, that's when you see most sales in the beginning of the year. They have all these like huge clearance sales and this and that and the other, because people have holiday fatigue from Christmas buying and all the holiday events and so forth and so on. So the beginning of the year is not the best time to do that. But there are two times of the year that I believe are ideal times to introduce an increase, and we're in one right now. April is a great time. Now, it's April and August. It'll be easy to remember. They both start with A. April and August. Now, we're towards the end of August, the end of April now. So you could announce it now, but I always think it's best to give them at least a 30-day notice, okay? So you could announce it now and have it take effect in May, but August is also another good time to do that. Send out a tuition increase letter, and I will link to the one that we have here. It's free. You can download it. You can just cut and paste or just fill it out the way it is, put in your dates, and send that out as a memo, as an email, post it by your sign, whatever you feel comfortable doing. And yeah, but again, we're going to have to drop the guilt. I'm going to have to find a word for how to banish guilt. It needs to start with a G. So if you think of something, put it in the comments, okay? But because we have all this guilt and this nervousness around things that, for the most part, are unrealistic. Like I said, I didn't have anyone leave based on a rate increase. I just didn't. Now, other people have other experiences, I understand, and possibly it has everything to do with the amount of the rate increase, but you are running a business. And just like I was referring to the egg situation earlier, we all had to adjust, right? If we need eggs, we do. I mean, I guess we can run around town and try and find the cheapest ones, but either which way, the prices are up. And if you need eggs for a recipe, you're going to have to adjust and pay that rate, whatever that is, okay? And that's not mean, it's just a fact of life, right? We always, I hear from providers all the time, I feel like I'm being mean. I feel like there's going to be drama. I feel like, I'm going to lose the client. And typically that doesn't happen. It just doesn't. It's in our head. It's our own mindset. And that is called a lack mindset. What's the word? I can never remember the word when I want to remember the daggone word. It's a lack mindset. Okay? This doesn't typically happen. But either which way, you are running a business. And if your rate increase helps your business to be sustainable, then that's what needs to happen. Do what you need to do to feel comfortable and drop the guilt, but it it needs to happen. Just in case you needed somebody to tell you that. All right. So I am on time today. I'm so proud of myself. All right. Before I leave you today, I just want to say that, if you are enjoying the show, if you're enjoying the Daycare Q&A show, then I want to tell you about someplace special. It's called the Rise and Thrive Club. That's our membership where you will feel prepared, supported, and equipped to grow a thriving childcare business without doing it all alone. And this week, like I said, if you're a member, I have an amazing offer for you that I will be announcing in 2 days, just 2 days, okay? But you don't have to wait. You can join right now, and when I announce it, you can just take off running, all right? The link below will take you over to learn about the Rise and Thrive Club, but I would love to see you on the inside, all right? So until next Wednesday, take care, stay safe, and keep thriving. My name is Adrienne Bradley, your host for the Daycare Q&A Show, and I can't wait to continue this incredible journey with you next week. Until then, keep thriving. See you next week.